As Max continued to nudge the child, Sarah stood frozen, her heart racing as she processed the gravity of the situation. The realization that this small, innocent child had been locked away for months in that dark, cold shed was too overwhelming to bear. But what was even more shocking was the way Max had instinctively led them to this place. It was as if he had known all along. The officers, still in disbelief, made their way toward the child. The neighborhood was now alive with whispers, people standing at their windows or gathered outside, their curiosity piqued by the scene unfolding before them. The shed, once a symbol of forgotten decay, now stood as a beacon of hope, thanks to a dog who refused to leave. As the officer carefully lifted the child, Sarah approached slowly. She felt an overwhelming surge of gratitude for Max. It was as though he had performed the unthinkable. He had saved a life with no hesitation. Sarah reached out to gently stroke Max's head, and he turned to look at her with a sense of calm, as though saying, "It's all right now." Max's behavior was anything but typical. Dogs, especially rescue dogs, can be unpredictable, but Sarah had always noticed something unique about him. His eyes, though dark and hauntingly expressive, seemed to hold a wisdom beyond his years. She remembered how he had been rescued from an abusive situation, how he had once cowered at loud noises and the sight of strangers. But now, in this moment, Max stood tall. His past had prepared him for this very moment. "Thank you, Max," Sarah whispered, her voice choked with emotion. Max wagged his tail, as though understanding her words. He had no idea just how much he had impacted the lives of everyone around him. In a way, he had become the protector, the silent guardian. A simple bark had done more than words could ever express. The officers escorted the child to the nearest patrol car. The child, still gripping their teddy bear, looked back at Max. "The dog." "He came for me," they said softly. Max's tail wagged again and his eyes met the child's gaze. It was as if he understood. He had been their protector, the one who had ensured that the child would never be alone again. The officers spoke in hushed tones as they made arrangements for the child's transport. The child appeared to be physically unharmed, but their frightened expression was enough to confirm that something terrible had happened. No child should have been subjected to the trauma of being locked away alone and afraid. The emotional toll was evident in their eyes. Max had found them, but the work was far from over. The police began their investigation immediately. They searched the shed thoroughly, finding clues that painted a picture of an unsettling truth. The shed had been used as a hiding place for the child, but it was clear that it had also been used for something else, something far darker. The walls were lined with scraps of food, empty cans and old blankets that had been discarded carelessly. A single dim light bulb hung from the ceiling, casting an eerie glow over the space. The place was cold, uninviting, and smelled of stale air. The child had clearly been neglected, left to fend for themselves in an environment that offered no comfort, no warmth. Max's barking had broken through that isolation, and in doing so, he had shattered the prison that the child had been forced to endure. The investigation revealed that the child's captors were part of a larger criminal ring that had been operating in the area for years. They had used the shed as a temporary hiding place, moving the child from one location to another. The police were able to trace back the leads from the shed to a local group with a history of abductions. It wasn't just a case of neglect, it was a kidnapping that had remained hidden in plain sight. Max's role in the rescue had been the key that unlocked the truth. The officers, who had spent months searching for the missing child, were astounded by the dog's remarkable instincts. It was as though Max had sensed something deep within the shed, something that had called to him. His unwavering persistence had led them to the right place at the right time, and in the end it was his bark, a simple, yet powerful cry that had shattered the silence. Sarah, still holding on to Max's leash, stood at the edge of the crowd, watching as the police worked to uncover the details. Her heart ached for the child who had been through so much. The image of their frightened face haunted her, and she couldn't help but wonder what had happened to them during those months of captivity. But amidst the sorrow there was also a sense of relief. The child was free. They were safe, and Max had been the hero they needed. As the officers continued their investigation, the neighborhood began to talk. Word spread quickly that the rescue had been made possible because of Max, the rescue dog who had refused to leave. People came forward with their own stories of Max's strange behavior over the past few weeks. Some recalled how Max had become increasingly restless, barking at the woods behind the neighborhood or pacing near the abandoned shed as if something was drawing him to it. Others recalled hearing his barks late at night, echoing through the streets. It was clear now that Max had always known something was amiss. His sharp instincts had guided him, even when no one else could see the signs. He had always been a dog with a strong sense of purpose, but this mission, this incredible act of bravery, had taken him to a whole new level. Over the following days, the neighborhood began to come together. People who had once barely acknowledged each other now found themselves sharing stories of Max and the incredible bravery he had shown. They talked about how the quiet, seemingly inconspicuous dog had become a symbol of hope. Max had done something extraordinary, and the entire neighborhood felt a deep sense of gratitude for the rescue dog who had saved a life. Sarah, too, began to see Max in a new light. She had always known he was special, but she had never realized just how much of a hero he truly was. Every day, she found herself more in awe of his courage, his loyalty, and his unwavering determination to do what was right. Max wasn't just a dog, he was a protector, a savior, and a true companion. As the police wrapped up their investigation, Max was celebrated as a hero. The neighborhood threw a small gathering in his honor, where they shared stories, offered thanks, and showed their appreciation for the dog who had brought them all together. Sarah, holding Max close, knew that their bond had been sealed forever. This wasn't just a rescue story. It was a story of love, loyalty, and the power of a dog's unyielding spirit. Max had barked at the locked shed, but in doing so, he had unlocked something far greater. He had brought hope to a hopeless situation, and in the process, he had become more than just a pet. He had become a symbol of courage, a testament to the incredible bond between animals and humans, and so, as the sun set on the neighborhood, Sarah looked down at Max, who sat contentedly at her side, his tail wagging gently. They had both been through so much, but now they could finally rest easy. The child was safe, the criminals had been caught, and Max had fulfilled his destiny. "Good boy," Sarah whispered, her voice filled with emotion. Max responded with a wag of his tail, as if to say, "That's what I'm here for."